Here we go, guys. We are back with the group chat. Alan McInally, Will Perry with you here. And Al, we've got to start by talking about the shock of the season. Was it the shock of the season? Sheffield United winning at Old Trafford?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Although having said that, there wasn't a lot of people thought that Burnley last week, or just the other day actually, wasn't it? We'd go to Liverpool and turn them over, and they did. But with the start that Sheffield United have had and the fact that they can't score any goals, you've got to say that was certainly one of the biggest shocks. And I don't think, well, certainly nobody at Manchester United saw that coming. Fantastic result for Sheffield, and obviously a bit of a disaster for Manchester United.
Yeah, look, Sheffield United, let's talk about them first, because they are part of the story as well. 10 points off safety, 18 games to play. Am I thinking crazy stuff that they've got a chance of pulling off a miracle?
Well, if they can... Oh, well, of all the questions you've ever asked me, genuinely answering a question like that when you think there's 18 games to go, 10 points, 4 wins, the other teams round about them are not exactly, stripping the light fantastic. So maybe, but I've already pinned my colours, rather, I should say, to the mast and say, they're down. And I have to stay with that one because that's what I thought originally. But results like that for a dressing room are humongous, mate. I mean, they really are humongous, genuinely. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, well, if we can go to Old Trafford, we can, not necessarily win every game, but the teams round about them won't be playing Sheffield United thinking, we'll beat them. All of a sudden there's doubt in their opposition. So I'll go with your maybe, but at the same time, it's still a big ass, partner.
Yeah. Look, I mean, as great as Manchester United have been, and we have to give them that over the last few months. Absolutely. And the turnaround that they've had, it's still the first Premier League game they've lost since the 1st of November, right? It was just, I guess, the context of it and the rock bottom Sheffield United side. But as I say, for as great as they've been, we saw how poor Manchester United can be and were the first sort of 3 months of the season. And that came out in those 90 minutes.
Yeah, it did. It did. You're absolutely right. And he's got a little bit of stick, actually. And I would imagine I'll be interested to see what kind of response in the group chat that we get for Odergaard and Solskjaer tinkering with the team. Now, I heard someone say to me when they saw the team, it's a bit disrespectful to Sheffield United because he didn't play Luke Shaw, who has been, incidentally, along with Bruno Fernandes, their best player in the last, 6-7 weeks. Although I still like Tellez, and I quite like Twansebe. I genuinely do. And you lose a game and all of a sudden, you get a bit of flack and you have to have broad shoulders and take it on the chin. But he's made those changes because he still thinks the team that he played is good enough to beat Sheffield United. And when it doesn't work like that, you're going to get stick. It's as simple as that, especially when there's a kind of, and I almost said a false hope, that would be unfair, more of a hope that they're going to be in the top 4 and maybe even a chance this season of winning the league. But it was certainly a bad result. But they've been very good, Manchester United. But there's no way he'll tinker with the team. He will play his best 11 if they're available to make sure they get a result against Arsenal.
Al, what do you make of Anthony Martial? I know there are a lot of Manchester United fans getting very frustrated with him. He's 25 years old now, right? And look, we all remember him coming on the scene from Monaco. I don't think any of us had really heard of him. He was 17 years old, wasn't he? And I think they paid £36 million, Louis van Gaal, back in 2015. So he's been there 6 years. As I say, 25 now. He's no baby. Have a guess how many Premier League goals he's got this season and what's been a good season for United?
Honestly, he's not even a player I go to sleep thinking about. Never, ever, ever, ever. I think he's a lucky boy. So I'm going to go 5.
He's got 2 Premier League goals this season.
Oh, gee whiz.
So
Manchester United. At Man United, well, that... Yeah. Sorry, mate, carry on.
I was going to say, when you're in that team and you're surrounded by people like Pogba, obviously Bruno Fernandes, even Rashford putting things on a plate for you, when comes a point where, they have to think away from Anthony Martial as their number 9?
That was 2 years ago, mate, that point. He said 2 years at Manchester United that he should never have had. I'm sorry. He's been so poor. I got a bit, how we talk about Twitter all the time and how I'll say some things about players. Because incidentally, I've been in hundreds of dressing rooms and I've played with, by the way, he could have played in any football team I ever played in. And I include Air United in that. He's not good enough. I'm serious. He couldn't play in any team I played in. I don't see him replacing anybody I played with. Genuinely. Listen, he's a good player. Good for Manchester United is probably not enough. It's as simple as that. You're talking top end where you expect to be. And he, as good a football player as a lot of people think he is, I don't think he's good enough for Manchester United. I never genuinely have. He's shown us flashes of wonderful football, but at Manchester United, a flash ain't enough. It's just simply not enough. I mean, could you imagine? I'm trying to think. Now, I know the Man United fans are twitting right now, giving it, McInally. Think of your best player in the last 20 years at Old Trafford. And I'm talking about a leader in the pitch, and I'm talking about Roy Keane, who set an example in that football club. Do you think he would have accepted Martial's performances, or Martial's, woe is me? No chance. No chance, man. He's never getting in the team. And by the way, in the dressing room, that's where this would be policed. You know, you've got to get yourself up. Come on. Don't feel sorry for yourself. We've got to keep going. You've got to give everything you've got. 6 years at Man United, and I know he was young when he came, but at 25 years old, we should all be talking about Anthony Martial, hoping that Man United can keep him, and the likes of Barca and Real Madrid and Bayern and PSG don't want him. Nobody's done that, and nobody will do that, by the way.
Look, massive game for Arsenal and Manchester United this weekend. It's the Saturday, it's at 5:30. I'm going to the Emirates for this one. Looking forward to it.
Oh, magic.
But if you take out the sentiment of the two managers, right? So we say, for example, that Arteta never played for Arsenal and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never played for United and scored that goal that we all know about in 1999. Take away that. Who would you prefer to have managing your football club? Mikel Arteta or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
I think Arteta, actually. I really do. I think the job at Manchester United obviously carries its weight on the shoulders, but I don't think there's the same weight from Arsenal yet. But I think Arteta, I think he'll get Arsenal back to a position where we're thinking of Arsenal as genuine every year top four contenders. I think the boy Odergaard, is brought in. I think it's going to be a great addition. Only 20, 21, 22, 23, just young. So you're bringing in, a bit of power in the middle of the park, certainly plenty of energy. The only thing is, up top end has been the problem for Arsenal. So I go Arteta, because I think at the moment in time, he seems to me to be the manager who has a bigger influence on his players and the team, and he's getting that kind of response. Now, people say, well, hang on a minute, Man United have been fantastic when they went through a tough period. But maybe it's just babyface Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that I don't take seriously enough. And I said on Sky the other night there, I don't think he's been given enough respect for turning the fortunes around for Manchester United. But to answer your question, I'm still going to go Arteta, because he's learned under one of the best managers that's ever been in the Premier Division. And he's probably taken that and will carry on with that in his career. And I think he'll probably end up a more successful manager than what Ole might be.
Given how awful Arsenal's start to the season was, a win at the Emirates against Manchester United on Saturday would take them 7 points behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side.
Wow. I mean, that I'm not saying it's I will say it's like a must-win game then, because if we're going to talk about Arsenal in the same context as where Manchester United expect to be, then we have to say the same about Arsenal with the players they're bringing into the football club and the players they already have at the football club. Now, we've spoken actually on the group chat about some players at Manchester United that shouldn't be there, or would like to, or would like, we want to leave, or they want to bring in, etc. Mikel Arteta still got big decisions to make defensively for me, in the likes of David Moyes, etc., who's at Arsenal, and I'm not a big fan. I still think that's a big problem for him. But he's looking at the middle of the park. He's given some young players good opportunities. But he's still got Lacazette and Pepe, who I think haven't delivered yet. I genuinely don't. Probably Lacazette gets the nod for me. Pepe, 70 million. I've seen absolutely nothing whatsoever. So there's still big decisions for Arteta to make. But if he can win on Saturday night and reduce that gap to 7 points, I think all of a sudden people will be thinking, who's going to end up in the top four? Who finishes in the top four? Because I watched a team the other night there and we haven't spoken about them yet, and I didn't think we were going to speak about Leicester today. I think Leicester City, if Vardy comes back, or he maybe even brings in a striker with 6 days to go, Leicester are absolutely a stonewall banking for top four, genuinely. So are City, and all of a sudden you're thinking, can Arsenal get to the top four the way everybody's playing at the moment? Liverpool are losing game, United lose a game. It's a real big one this year, and everything is open, Will, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is the crazy thing, isn't it? And obviously, we're doing this before the Tottenham-Liverpool game. Yeah. But as it stands, Arsenal 3 points off their bitter rivals, Tottenham, which is crazy to say that, given that Tottenham were top of the table not long ago, and 5 points off a Champions League place. But you look at the positivity, Al, around Arsenal at the moment, 16 points from a possible 18, and the growing confidence of the likes of Saka, who I know played a big part last season, but Smith Rowe is coming to the team this year. Obviously Martinelli playing a sort of part from the bench, but the two guys you mentioned as well, Pepe and Lacazette, who've just been absolutely nowhere all season, back among the goals and playing well against Southampton as well. So something is clicking at the right time. And look, they could be the outside choice for a top four for a Champions League spot, Arsenal, the way that they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And that has to be the goal, incidentally. I mean, if they don't win against Manchester United on Saturday night, it's not the be-all and end-all, but it certainly puts them back on their heels a little bit after you quite rightly saying the run they're on. And it's about time Lacazette and Pepe showed that kind of form. After all, they're experienced football players, and that's why they were brought to the football club. You can't just give it, I'll not bother for 3 weeks, I fancy it today. Can't have that. Can't have that. That's why players go to big football clubs with big reputation. You never see them again, because it's not the same playing for Manchester United City as it is for Southampton, etc., etc. It's not the same. I mean, Southampton got beat the other day after dumping Arsenal out of the cup. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. Did anybody give Hasenhüttl stick for losing the game against Arsenal? No. I mean, because it's still a story down in the South Coast, naturally. Southampton, and certainly Ralph Hasenhüttl, by the way, who's changed the fortunes at that football club big time. But it's still not the same if you lose a game. But it's the big ones you need to win. You need to have a player that's going to have that kind of desire that every time he plays, he's got to win. And that's what I think Mikel Arteta is trying to bring through with a lot of his players. And at the moment in time, it's going in the right direction. I'm so glad you spoke about Emile Smith-Rowe. I said he was a Premier Division football player 2 years. Where did I see him? Huddersfield?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I was like, who's this? And he was what then? So was he 20? He was 18 or 19 or something. Or 12, whatever he was, 20. It doesn't really matter. The boy was brilliant. And I was like, how did Huddersfield, where did he come from? And I wasn't aware at the time, and I had to obviously do my prep, etc. And he's obviously come from Arsenal. And all of a sudden I'm like, that's what I can't believe it's been 2 years. That's what I saw 2 years ago. And that's one of the things that I've had, a gem like that, Arsenal. And it's wonderful. And I'm delighted for the young man that's come on. He is going to have an unbelievably good football career as long as he stays healthy. He's a wonderful football player. And of all the players we've spoken about in the Arsenal team there, I think he plays such a big part, genuinely, and will do for the next 4 or 5 years at Arsenal.
Yeah, combined age of 39, those two, Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe 20, Saka 19. But you'd have to say, wouldn't you now, Saka, the way things are going, player of the season for Arsenal.
He's been brilliant. I mean, he's only that size, isn't he? He's only a wee half pint almost. But boy, is he quick. But you've heard me talking about things, there was a stat the other night there, and stats, you do my head in. Chelsea, 8,000% possession and 8 billion passes. And I'm like, 75 yards from goal, and the goalkeeper had 46%. I mean, Saka goes that way. He's aggressive. He likes to take players on. He's taking responsibility to go and try and make things happen. That's why he's exciting. That's why he's having the season he's having. Because he doesn't get it turned inside and pass the ball backwards or sideways, which you have to do sometimes. But a lot of times, he gets the ball, he turns in faces, and he wants to go and try and make things happen. That's a big difference in a football player. And it's huge confidence he's got. And it'll be interesting to see how Luke Shaw deals with him. I know Luke had a little night off the other night there against Sheffield United, so he'll be ready to rock and roll on Saturday. But that'll be some battle if Saka plays on the right-hand side against Luke Shaw at left back.
Yeah, got to ask you, so we've got this one on tape. Martin Odergaard, right? 22 years old. He's signed for Arsenal till the end of the season. Obviously that sort of attacking midfielder. He had a good season on loan at Real Sociedad, but not getting a look at the Bernabeu. Zidane clearly doesn't fancy him. Came into Real Madrid as a 15-year-old, I think he was, and it cost him about £3 million. So that was where he really made his name, because he was so young going to a club like that. Do Real Madrid let good players go on loan? I mean, Ceballos is included in that. And what do you think of this kid? Can he make an impact at the Emirates? I know we haven't seen much of him and enough of him to sort of see what he'll do in the Premier League, but is that a good signing for Arteta?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, when you're coming... I don't remember anybody going to a top football club in Europe and you don't think he's a good player or can't do it. The only thing is, Will, and this will be a problem for Mikel Arteta, he hasn't played many games. He's definitely not up to speed yet, for sure. And you kind of do, especially when you come to a new team in a new country, is hit the ground running almost, as it were. But he's only 22, 23, so hopefully, he's got plenty of energy. But what he is learning at somewhere like Real Madrid is just such a bonus to try and get a player like that into your football club, really. And there'll be a lot of pressure put on him because they'll expect him to be sensational because he's coming from somewhere like Real Madrid. It'll be interesting. Well, I think you got to give him the first 4 games and see how he does, but it'll be interesting. But yes, I think he'll be a good addition for sure, because there's no way Real Madrid are spending money on someone that's been there from 15 years old thinking he can't do it. And there's a lot of players that Zidane haven't liked, by the way, or haven't got on with, or it's not easy, trust me. When you're at a top European football club, to get into the starting 11, I know that for first-hand experience, you need to be right at it or you're sitting in the stand.
Look, we have to take our hats off to Mr. David Moyes. What a season he has had at West Ham. Given where West Ham were as a club, and even if the fans were packed into the London Stadium, they certainly wouldn't be trying to clamber over the seats to get to Golden Sullivan now, would they? Because incredible turnaround. They are 5th. Sorry, I do them a disservice. They are 4th. They're in the Champions League spots, which is insane. They are above Liverpool, right, ahead of meeting the champions this weekend. They are only 6 points off the top of Manchester City. And listening to David Moyes speak, it was hilarious because he was just like, I'm not going to be stupid. She was like, shut up. I'm not going to be stupid and talk about Champions League football. He has to play it down. Of course he does. But the way that they are going, they could definitely be in the mix for a European spot. They've got to be looking at top 6, haven't they? And like I said, meeting against Liverpool at the weekend. But David Moyes, manager of the year, isn't it?
Listen, I know Moisey. I have known Moisey since we were 17, 18 years old. This is Moisey. Don't be stupid. We'll keep going. Inside he's like, yahoo! They're doing so well. I mean, I'm not going to spout on about Declan Rice again, because I said Declan Rice is a starter in England, and I think he'll end up at Real Madrid or somewhere like that, because he's that good. Genuinely is. Either that, he's going to Man City, and he will be sensational, and he'll win the league at Manchester City because he's so good. Souček's come in, he's been brilliant. Yarmolenko is getting fit again, which I like, chipping in with the goals. I hope Mikel Antonio stays fit, because he's a big part. He's a real strength for there, and he's someone that they trust, and they put the ball in the box, and he's good. I tell you, this is a really good season. Aaron Creswell at fullback, he's been excellent, genuinely really good, and it's hard to pick a fault in them at the moment. There's only one thing you said in your build-up when we're speaking about West Ham, that the fans won't be climbing over the ball as to get to Golden Sullivan. They probably still will be. I don't think they like them still. But in terms of a football, the football they're watching at the moment and the results that David Moyes are getting, I mean, I'm delighted for Moyes, because you know what I said. I thought Man United treated him dreadfully. I don't think he was given any time at Manchester United, and everywhere he's gone since then. And this is his second stint at West Ham, remember? So maybe Golden Sullivan should get a pat on the back, for bringing him back and realising how good David Moyes works with the football team. There's been even though they went through a tough time, and by the way, they were talking about relegation last year. Moyes turned it round. He's brought a couple of players in. All of a sudden, what you're getting right now is David Moyes has got his team in the top 4. Fantastic. And incidentally, and I'm making fun of Moisey giving it, I'm dead calm outside, don't be stupid about top 4. Why can they not? Why can they not? I mean, it's a genuine possibility. Maybe they don't control games as much as what the teams round about them do in terms of possession and chances, but boy, they have been absolutely brilliant. And if this is a little pink spell for them, brilliant.
Look, I tell you what, loads of people talk about Declan Rice, and we both absolutely love Declan Rice. So he probably could get into any team at the moment. However, I want to talk to you about Thomas Souček. I think he has been probably, and I know he was on loan last season, but the permanent signing of the window, up there with Højbjerg, et cetera. He's 25 years old, right? You'd get changed for £15 million from Spartak Prague, and he's got 7 goals in the Premier League this season. They've all come after November. He got 2 against Palace, didn't he, the other night? As Jose christened him, the new Fellaini, defensive midfielder, does all the jobs there. And then also going forward, he's such a danger, such a threat in the box. On top of that, he's the nicest man in football, wants to do all the interviews post-match. He can hardly speak English, but wants to improve his English. He wants to stand in front of a camera, and put himself out of his comfort zone. He's praising his wife the other night. The week before, he was talking about his pasta salads. He's hilarious. But what a signing, along with Soufal at right back. I mean, those 2 signings and that Czech connection they've got is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And incidentally, I think you play his part spot on, Will, and you're quite rightly to do that, because West Ham are not top 4 if he doesn't do his job. But getting into the box and scoring goals from a midfield player makes you from 10 million to 28, 35 million. And in fact, he's only 25 years old as well, by the way. I mean, how did even West Ham even get him? How is someone else not? I don't remember him ever being in anybody's shopping list apart from West Ham.
Yeah.
So brilliant business by them. And it's come now, the whole thing's come to fruition. And, he's getting confidence because he's playing along Declan Rice. Declan's saying, get in the box, go, I'm okay, I'll look after everything here. And he has a license to go and support. He can go to the right or left, whatever he wants. No, he plays on the right-hand side, obviously. But getting goals from midfield, Moyes will be like, I can't believe this lad is doing everything I'm asking him to do. And the energy he has as well, because defensively, if you watch him, does his job really well and helps out. And he's been fantastic. So forget about 15 million. You're talking now 35, 40 if he keeps doing that.
Look like they're going to do some business this week as well, West Ham. Ben Rama going to be permanent for about £25 million from Brentford. I don't know what West Ham fans think of him.
That for me is good business. Genuinely. Okay. He's a good player. I still think he's underrated. I think he's got more to give, Will, Ben Rama. I genuinely do. He's a good player.
Well, he's got more to give on the goals front, because I think he's had 13 appearances and hasn't found the net. And I've seen him quite a few times.
Scored.
He's been playing on the left. I know he's part of BMW at Brentford and played on the left there and has played in the false 9 and the 10. He can play all over, can't he? But he's looked a little bit off the pace. I don't know, Premier League-wise, but, he hasn't been in the Prem before. But the news coming out of the Ben Rama deal is that's to free up a loan, and Jesse Lingard coming into the London Stadium. Obviously a man that David Moyes knows very well from his time at Manchester United. He's 28 now, Jesse Lingard. Just the 3 appearances for United this season, and they've all come in the domestic cups. And he's had his injuries and he's been out the team. Is that a good move for Jesse Lingard? Is that a good move for West Ham?
No, it's not a good move for West Ham, and it's a great move for Jesse Lingard. I mean, Jesse has to play. 28 years old. I still look at him and think of his, he's 20, 21. And he burst onto the scene at Man United, and he scored goals in Europe, and I don't know, and things just haven't gone the way he wanted them to go. I think the only reason that West Ham, he may, don't know what's happening yet, he may end up at West Ham is obviously the connection with David Moyes, and David has worked with him and has seen something it was longer than that. What was it, 5, 6, 7 years ago? Moyes was at Manchester United. It's got to be that length of time.
2013 he took over, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Moyes is going to do him a favour if he takes him. And it's up to Jesse Lingard to prove me wrong that he's still got it. Because when I'm watching him, even when he's coming on his sub or any times he's had the opportunity to play, I've been pretty unimpressed. And by the way, even as a football player, if you're in Jesse Lingard's position, you've got to take it to heart by thinking, right, this is a chance here. Do not blow this. If you don't score, work harder than him, and him. I don't see that. A lot of players do just enough. Just enough is never enough. Not as a football player. But if David wants him, then he'll have to do everything that Moyes tells him, and he'll need to get his finger out and start working exactly how hard he did to get into the Manchester United team, because it just might be as hard to get into the West Ham team right now, the way they're playing. But the question you asked me, is it a good move for West Ham? I'm saying no, because you're bringing a player into the club that is obviously at Manchester United, which is a huge football club. But in terms of what I've seen so far this season, I don't think he'll play a bit part. He's not a starter for me walking into the West Ham team. And is it good for Jesse Lingard? It's sensationally good for Jesse Lingard because he'll have the opportunity to prove everybody wrong.
Well, there you go. You know, it's how he gets in that team with the likes of Yarmolenko back and scoring. He got a goal against Doncaster in the FA Cup and he's back fully fit. You've got Fornals, you've got Lanzini, obviously Antonio is the spearheader. You've got Jared Bowen as well. So they've got a lot of players in those positions, haven't they? It's kind of if you're Lingard and you're
well, hang on a minute. You've seen a lot of Lingard because we're up in the northwest and up in Manchester, etc., etc. Do you think he gets in the West Ham team?
Not right now, but I think that Lingard of 3 years ago when he was doing Michael Jackson celebrations at the Emirates, scoring goals for fun, and England's World Cup team, that Lingard gets in there.
Exactly, but okay. So my main point is, and I'm almost speaking directly to Jesse Lingard, and you know how I love the lads. I've seen players who swan through games because they have just such a talent, and you're like, man, what a player this guy is. And I haven't said that. I played at some wonderful football teams with some wonderful players. He's in a position now. Can he find that guy? Can he find that guy? Can he be that guy again? It's all down to Jesse Lingard. Moyes can help. His assistants can help. But if it's not in there, if it's not in there, then it's never going to be there. He has to get that back.
Yeah.
And we have to hope for Jesse Lingard that going to West Ham might just be the catalyst. I said to you about, I always give Theo Walcott stick for being 10 years at Arsenal and never being any better than he was. And now he's gone back to Southampton and it's just sort of clicked for him, and all of a sudden now he's a starter and he looks dangerous again. That's what Jesse Lingard will have to get back. And by the way, if he does, remember he's only going on loan, then Man United will get someone back that they didn't have right now.
Yeah, good point. Right, look, here's the stat that you love, not Chelsea, right? 78.9% possession, okay? Completed passes, 820. This is in Tuchel's first game in charge against Wolves at Stamford Bridge. Since the start of the 03-04 season, those are both the highest totals by a team in their manager's first Premier League game in charge, which is quite incredible. But look, what did you make of Tuchel's first game in the dugout? Obviously possession-based and, made quite a few big calls in terms of dropping Mason Mount and, bringing Rudiger back and dropping Reece James, et cetera, et cetera. Can we read a lot into how he's going to play there? And how long do you think he will be at the Bridge? He's been given an 18-month contract. I mean, no one really lasts 18 months at the Bridge.
That, for me, is a bit of a light bulb moment thinking, if you don't get to the top four, and by the way, I don't even know if top four will be deemed as a success, spending over 200 million. Listen, again, I include you in this, Will, because I love it when we talk football and you watch a lot of games, and at the moment in time, we're sitting in the stadiums and we're right on top of things, and you can hear things, and in every dressing room I've been in and working with players, etc., etc. Wasn't hugely surprised they made the changes, because right away it's like, well, Frank's been playing them and you've not been getting results, so maybe you think you're too comfortable. I'm going to shake things up right away. You could have 15 goes at picking his 11 and not got it right, genuinely, with the squad that Chelsea have got. I was a little bit disappointed for Reece, actually, because I think he's done okay. But he's bringing in experience in Rudiger and Aspilicueta, to be honest. But it's going to be interesting going forward. And he had Werner on the bench, didn't he? He didn't even play Werner.
That was the biggest surprise for me. I thought Werner was coming in. He'd get back amongst the goals against Wolves and he'd score a hat-trick against Burnley, and Timo Werner will finish with 30 Premier League goals. I thought that's the kind of plan that he's got for Werner and Havertz.
Yeah. Listen, before the game, and I was doing the Burnley Villa game, and then I did the Everton Leicester game. And I was trying to see the teams that were coming out, and I'm thinking, okay, he's coming in, big reputation, done okay at PSG, obviously. I'm thinking he'll probably make this so uncomplicated. He'll go 4-4-1-1. 1-1 being Werner right up top, Havertz off of him, and then another 8. If you know what I mean. But just stick 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, and then everybody knows their business. And then he sort of mix things around and doesn't play who you think. Mason Mount's got a bit of a problem, I think. He's got a big month coming up to prove to his new manager that he deserves a start. And the only other thing you can do is in training and the odd chance you get. I still think I'm still gutted for Frank Lampard. I don't think it's a good. I mean, Frank Lampard took the job with Chelsea under an embargo, brings through the likes of James and Mount and Billy Gilmore and Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abrahams, etc. Gets top 4, tops the group in the Champions League, by the way. Had the result against Leicester wasn't good, but watching Leicester the other night, they're a top 4 team.
Yeah.
He gets 200 odd million to spend. Obviously, that carries its own pressure. And then you're hoping everything runs smoothly at a football club and the players are as fantastic as they were, you know, at their other teams at Leverkusen, etc., and Leipzig, etc., etc. It's not that easy. It's genuinely not. But Mr. Abramovich, he expects his football club to be in the top 4 and he expects them to be winning the championship, Will.
And look, they're a classic example, Chelsea, of a collection of fantastic players, but not a team. You know, we've seen a few of those examples over the years because, look, we're all managers, aren't we? We'll sit at home, we'll all be a manager. And for me, that team is so obvious on paper. All right, you play Mendy in goal. Your back 2, you've got Thiago Silva and Rudiger or Zuma, right? Your fullbacks, obvious. Chilwell on the left, Reece James on the right. Your 2 sitters, I'm playing 4-2-3-1. Kovacic and Conte. Okay, then you've got a 3 of Pulisic on the left, Ziyech on the right, Havertz in the 10, Werner up top. That team is a worldy team on paper. And how it's not working is beyond me.
Well, because the players are not putting their... Well, I'll tell you why it's not working. Because they're either not working well enough, they're certainly not gelling well together, but are you saying they're working harder than the other team they're playing against? Normally, if you work harder with the talent they've got, then it's a foregone conclusion you'll turn them over. And by the way, I think you do Wolves a disservice to all the Chelsea fans that expected them to turn out with a win. They're a good team, Wolves, by the way. They're all right. I mean, there's teams you play in the Premier Division that you'll think, oh yeah, they beat them, and then you'll be like, ooh, hang on a minute, Wolves are a little bit better than I thought they were. Naturally, people are still got. You could play Chelsea could play Wolves every weekend from now to the end of the season. A lot of people would probably expect Chelsea to win the majority of the games. It's not like that. And if you don't have players, world class or not, that don't work harder than your opposition, you ain't going to beat them. Even if you have supposedly better skill in your football club, that's meant to help, obviously. And Ziyech has done okay, but again, okay, playing for a top club, it's not enough. It'll be interesting. Listen, the next month, 6 weeks for Tuchel will be huge. And we'll know whether he's going to last 18 months or not. Genuinely, I think, in this first 6 weeks.
Right, everybody, time for our ACCA. I just want to say, firstly, Alan McInally, on behalf of everybody in the United Kingdom and from Betfair and Footy Accumulators, you're an absolute disgrace for picking Middlesbrough against Rotherham. You hung everything on it. You put your sword out, everything that you had. And Rotherham score 3-0 at Borough.
Which incidentally, having been in the bottom relegation places and Borough just outside the playoff, it's a terrible result for Borough. Now, hang on a minute, everybody in the nation. I will throw in Mr. Will Perry, who said that Manchester United would beat Sheffield United, which is a complete and utter disgrace. Sam, help me out here, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, they were. See, United were very odds on, and Sheffield United were 19-1 before the match. So
wow,
yeah.
I tell you what, someone at Betfair's counting their money today. Look,
the midweeks don't count. It's all about the Saturday.
Exactly, and it's all about the next ACCA. That's what's so great about this. And we're moving on. So I'm going to stick with a game involving Sheffield United, and I'm going to go for Manchester City. Look, there's one team in Manchester that can get the job done against Sheffield United, and they are in blue and managed by Pep, and they are going to wallop Sheffield United at the Etihad on Saturday. So that's one down. All right. That's a nice, easy one to pick. Here's the controversial one. 3:00 kickoffs we're going for on Saturday, and I'm going to pick West Brom to beat Fulham. Massive game down the bottom, Sam. And this is kind of do or die now, isn't it, for West Brom, given that Burnley are pulling away. All right, Newcastle being sucked in. That is a massive, massive game at the Hawthorns. I'm going to go for West Brom and Manchester City as my two, Sam.
Yeah, it's been just sticking on that huge game at the bottom of the table. It's been a massive week for Fulham. They couldn't quite do it against Brighton. They were close at the end. They come up against a West Brom side. Obviously now they've got Sam Allardyce, maybe a little bit more pragmatic. West Brom 12-5, Fulham 13-10, the draw 11-5. But huge game, and West Brom will have the incentive of going ahead of Fulham if they do get the 3 points there. So massive, massive match at the Hawthorns. Manchester City, you'll not be surprised to hear they're 1-9 to beat Sheffield United.
I thought you were going to say 1-40, son.
Not quite. I think after the win at Old Trafford, I think that those odds have certainly drifted out from 1-40 to 1-9. But I think Manchester City have certainly clicked into gear. Listen, Sheffield United will go to the Etihad with a game plan like they did at Old Trafford, and they'll look to make things difficult. But when it comes to quality on the pitch, you need to say no more about Manchester City. I thought I had to clean my glasses the other day when I was watching City, because I thought it was Zidane in the middle, not İlkay Gundogan. Sheffield United 20-1, the draw 8-1. So yeah, looking tough for Sheffield United in that one.
Yeah, and look,
I'll carry on, Will. Sorry, mate.
Well, I was just going to say, after you got two wrong again. You got two wrong again. Just to highlight that point, you're back in the championship.
I'm back in the championship. I'll do this nice and quick. I'm still convinced Stoke City are going to get to the playoffs. I genuinely am. And they've got a tricky trip to Huddersfield, but I'm still going to go Stoke City to win on Saturday, and I'm going to go Brentford to win at home against Wickham.
So Brentford, unbeaten in their last 17 league games, they're on one amazing run. They're 1-3, so big odds on to beat Wickham, who are bottom of the table, currently 7-1 to win at Brentford. The draw 4-1 there. Stoke go to Huddersfield, and they're currently 13-10. Huddersfield 11-5 to get the 3 points, and the draw 21-10. So all in all, then the fourfold for the weekend: City, West Brom, Brentford, and Stoke, all to win, is at 11.59, so just over 10-1.
Yeah, so there we go. We've got two odds-ons and we've got two interesting ones. But look, don't follow us. I'm telling you, don't copy us. Have your own acca, have some fun, and we'll see you guys next time. Right, let's talk same game multi with Betfair. Sam Rosbottom is here with us, Al, and we're going to look at what should be a really interesting game. Arsenal against Manchester United, the 5:30 on Saturday, of course. Sam, Manchester United off the back of that shock defeat, the shock of the season against Sheffield United. I wonder what that's done to the odds, but we're going to look at two columns in this one. We're going to look at goal scorers. So I'm going to look at the Arsenal side of things out. And I'm looking at Bukayo Saka because I'm thinking, look, 2 goals in his last 2 games. He's a real threat under Mikel Arteta recently, and they've been reborn Arsenal. They're climbing towards the Champions League spot. So, Sam, I'm going to go for a Bukayo Saka anytime goal.
Yep. So as you guys know, with the same game multi, we're combining a number of selections into one bet. We can do all sorts: match odds, cards, corners, goal scorers, shots, and many, many more. They're all available on the sportsbook. I like the goal scorers markets and particularly the anytime goal scorers markets because you're not waiting. You're not relying on someone to score first, and if they're on for the full game, then you're pretty much in for the full game. Bukayo Saka, obviously, he's got 2 in his last 2, and for him to score any time is currently 10-3. So some nice odds there for him to score any time.
What are you thinking, Al?
I like that. I really like it. He's really come to prominence, hasn't he? And I think, like Sam says, I'm trying to think as well, when you have a little bet like that on the same game multis, he's probably not going to be taken off either. So you're probably going to get the 90 minutes while he's an anytime goal scorer. And I'm going to go on the Man United side then. By the way, incidentally, if you thought I was going to pick Martial, and you know what I think of him, he could play 3 days and not play. So you could give him a 3-day multi-bet and still not score. But you've got to think that after the result against Sheffield United, he'll play Cavani. Cavani is a must, I think, to play. He's our biggest out with, really, Rashford and Greenwood. He's their biggest goal threat. So I'm going to go Cavani anytime, Sam.
Yeah, so Cavani a little bit shorter than Saka for obvious reasons. He's really impressed, hasn't he, since coming to Manchester United, and he's proven a key player. He's 15-8 to score any time against Arsenal. So Cavani and Saka both to score any time is currently just over 11-1, almost 12-1 at 12.84 on the sportsbook same game multi.
Classic McInally is just after talking about Saka being on the pitch for nearly 90 minutes, has gone with a player who definitely won't be on the pitch for 90 minutes. But we know he's got an eye for goal, Mr. Cavani.
But he will. Trust me, he will.
I trust you every week, every single week. There we go. Have a crack. Have a go at same game multi with Betfair. We are going for that game, between Arsenal and Manchester United, the 5:30 on Saturday. Big one for United after that shock defeat. Right, good man, Al. What are you up to this weekend? What games are you doing? Doing stuff for Sky?
I'm not. I don't have a Prem game. I'll tell you where I am. I'm at Sheffield Wednesday. Got beat by beat them Coventry. Coventry beat them the other night. I can't remember. A really bad result, actually. I'm sure it was Coventry that beat them, actually. And they're at home to Preston. The Preston are good away from home. So there's a big problem at Sheffield Wednesday just now. So I'm going to go there on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that, mate.
Nice.
Where are you? You already told me you're at Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal Man United on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm going to get some nice bit of information. I'm going to be like Inspector Gadget. I'm going to keep an eye on Thomas Tuchel because I'm at Chelsea against Burnley. So I'll be interested to see him, because we get really close, as we said before. Lucky to be at the games, obviously, but within meters, and you can hear how he talks to his players, and that's a sort of fascinating bit of insight. So I'll bring you some of that, whatever I hear next week. So yeah, should be a good one.
Okay, here's one for you before you go then.
Go on.
And we'll have a fiver on this. Give me the result: Chelsea versus Burnley.
Oh, I mean, look, I wouldn't be, after what they did at Anfield, I wouldn't be surprised if Dicey went and got something there. Chelsea have to win that game, don't they? They have to win it.
Chelsea are not beating Burnley, by the way.
I'd want to back Burnley, but I'm gonna. Do you know what? I'm gonna say a draw. I'm gonna say 1-1.
Yeah, I think 1-1. I think Dicey will be quite. I was going to say Ben Mees. I think he's underrated, but he actually got caught the other night there, and Ollie Watkins came from behind him and got a little flick in. But apart from that, he did nothing wrong. Him and Tarkowski were excellent. So it'll be a tough job for Chelsea to break them down. And big Chris Wood could be knocking Thiago Silva and Rudiger and Zuma all over the place. So yeah, it'll be a really interesting one. But I'll go with you 1-1, but it's going to be a really, really interesting game. Can
you imagine that? Can you imagine if Burnley go to the bridge and get something, or get a victory? The pressure that's on Tuchel then, because like you say, don't get the top four. Tuchel time could be over before he knows.
Frank, we need to get Sam Rosbottom from Betfair back in to see what Frank is to get the job back before the end of the season.
I'm sure the Chelsea fans will love him back at some stage. He'll be back at the bridge 10 years' time when he left in the Champions League trophy or something. I'll speak to you next time, mate. Have a good one.